Oh, hi, you were here? My husband must have forgotten to tell me. Uh, just sit down. The dinner is on the way. A cup of tea? No problem at all. I love guests. Do you ever find yourself smoothing tension, agreeing too quickly, or volunteering to do things just to keep the peace? That might not be being too nice. That might be fawning. You can be fawning without realizing it. And if someone has dominating energy or narcissistic traits, they sense it. It's like flashing a playable sign. While grey rocking repels them, fawning draws them in. Today I'll help you spot hidden fawning, understanding why it drains your energy. And I will give you a toolkit for how to stop it, even when it triggers anxiety. Let's get into it. You have probably heard of the classic trauma responses: fight, get aggressive; flight, avoid conflict; or freeze, go numb or stuck. But there's a fourth response, and it's often the most misunderstood one. What if you could sense a threat early and avoid explosions altogether? What if you could neutralize a looming conflict by pleasing, adapting, overfunctioning before anything ever happens? That's the fawn response. And if you learned it early in life, it may still be running the show, especially when you're interacting with toxic or narcissistic people. What is fawning? Fawning is a trauma response. It creates safety by appeasing. You downplay your needs, manage other people's emotions, and overfunction to avoid conflict or rejection. You're not doing it with everyone, and yes, you can still say no sometimes, but certain people and certain situations activates the fawning response, especially when there is a power imbalance or someone has a bulldozing style. Fawning looks like help or being nice, but it feels like tension. Fawning can look like kindness. You can use the two signal test to separate the two. The first signal: what do you feel before you act? Pressure, fear, urgency to keep the peace? Second signal: what do you feel if you resist? Guilt, panic, fear of backlash? If the motivation is fear and resisting creates anxiety, that is fawning. If it is joy and you can comfortably not do it, it is kindness. Fawning drains you, because fawning keeps your nervous system in a low-grade sense of threat all day, even if no one is yelling, even if the house is quiet, because you're not just people-pleasing. You are scanning, calculating, tuning into others. You're holding 3 conversations in your head, keeping 5 balls in the air, anything to stay ahead of disappointment. That constant mental juggling, it splits your attention, and that creates a huge energy drain for your brain. And then there is the invisible rule. You're not allowed to rest until everything is done. Why? Because if something is left unfinished, it could trigger criticism, rejection, or conflict. So your body treats it like a danger. In the year of 2022, I was struggling with burnout symptoms. I had 2 small kids and I worked full-time as a doctor during the pandemic. And then there was my narcissistic husband. In the midst of all this, I noticed a strange pattern. When I would get anxious, I would walk up to the fridge, not to eat, just to open the door and look at the perfect order and all the meals prepared just the way he wanted it. And that moment made me feel safe. Everything is in order. I have done my job. there is nothing to be attacked for. That is what constant fawning can look like. And that's why it's so draining. It's not just the actions. It's the emotional labor running underneath everything you do. Narcissistic personalities, or anyone with a bulldozing relationship style, will notice if you are fawning, because they often test boundaries. When they test your boundary and you respond with fawning, that tells them that you will keep the peace. You will keep pleasing. You won't push back. They push, you appease, and they push more. This loop trains them to expect over-compliance from you, and for you to feel responsible for their moods. This isn't about blaming you. It's about understanding the dynamic so that you can change it. And here's the kicker. Even if no one is pressuring you, you might still fawn. Because if you have never been in a balanced relationship, you have no internal reference point for what is enough. You don't know what a normal amount of effort looks like. So your brain fills in the gaps with the old survivor logic. If something isn't working, it must be because I haven't done enough. If the house is chaotic, if your partner is in a bad mood, if your coworker is cold, then you don't question the system. You question yourself. Fawning becomes a loop where you overfunction and you get appreciated, or at least you avoid conflict, and so you do the same thing again. And even when you are exhausted, you don't ask for help, because that would mean admitting a limit. And Fawning says, don't be too much, don't be a burden, don't be the reason that things are falling apart. And if you're constantly tuned into them, how do you even know where your limit is? Is the limit when you start to get tired, when you're feeling overlooked, when you start to develop brain fog, or when you wake up in the middle of the night with heart palpitations? Are those signs of overwhelm or proof that you are malfunctioning, not good enough, not strong enough, not holding it together? This is the invisible cost of chronic fawning. You don't just lose energy, you lose your sense of self. When you have lost your baseline, everything becomes your responsibility. That's why fawning makes you susceptible to coercive control. That's what happened to me. I was hypervigilant, unsure of myself, and constantly scanning others for cues on how to be. So when he told me exactly what he wanted, I thought it was a dream. Finally, clear rules and clear instructions. If I followed them, I could avoid conflict. I could keep the peace. I could rest. And I understand now that it must have felt like a dream for him too. Because I was easy to shape. Because I felt safe when he was happy. But over time, those rules became tighter. The stakes became higher. The emotional cost got heavier. What started as a coping mechanism had become a prison. If this sounds familiar, if part of you is realizing just how long you have run on fawn mode, you're not broken. You are adapted. But it's time to learn a new way of relating, a way that includes your limits. Let's look at a few tools that can help you pause the pattern and rebuild your sense of self. The P.E.A.C.E check. Use this to check if you're in a fawn loop. Pressure. Is there a power imbalance or a dominating energy? Effort, confusion. You're not sure what is enough, so just to be safe, you go overboard. Anxiety when stopping. Saying no spikes fear. Control fallacy. You feel responsible for how they behave or respond. Energy drain. You feel depleted afterwards. If you check 3 or more consistently, it is likely fawning. Grey rock means becoming uninteresting. Low energy. Short responses. It's great when someone is toxic, manipulative, or dangerous, but it's a temporary crisis shield, not your long-term personality. In healthier relationships, you want to set boundaries with clear, consistent action, not just withdraw. When your fawn response gets triggered, this is how to stop it. 1. Name it. I feel tightness in my chest. I want to appease. Micro pause. Inhale on 4, exhale on 6, and put your feet on the floor. Step 2. Ask yourself calibrator questions. What is an appropriate amount of effort here? What is truly my responsibility? If I say no, am I unsafe or just anxious? Step 3. Use boundary scripts. Having a pre-planned response can help you in these situations. When someone tries to give you several work tasks, you can say, I can either do A or B, but I can't do both. Interrupt a bulldozer. I'm going to stop you there. I can't commit to this. If someone asks you to schedule them in, you can say, that doesn't work for me. I'm available on Sunday between 10 and 12. If they are trying to guilt trip you, I hear that you're disappointed. I'm still not able to do it. Step 4. Hold the awkward 10 seconds. Silence will feel like danger at first. Don't fill it. Let the other person adjust to your boundary. Step 5. Post-boundary soothe. Putting down a boundary will likely trigger anxiety. Calm your system down. You can use self-talk. I'm safe, I just feel uncomfortable. You can text a friend, I did that thing, validate me. Shake it out, step outside, or do a minute of breathe reset. Over time, it will get easier, and your nervous system will learn boundaries aren't dangerous, they are peace building. If you're in an abusive situation or fear retaliation, your safety comes first. Don't confront. Use grey rock, distance, or third-party channels. Your well-being comes first, and you don't have to do this alone. This week, I would like you to notice when that old tension comes up, the one that triggers you to try to fix things. Run the P.E.A.C.E check. Try one script. Comment below which one you'll use. And afterwards, come back and tell us how it went. I would love to hear your wins. And if what I shared about coercive control resonated with you, I made a separate video describing how it feels when the fawn response is turned into something more programmed. The video is called Programmed to Obey, and it's a bit uncomfortable but also a bit funny because humor is one of the ways that we use to create distance and heal. I'm Emma holding up a light over the bridge. See you in the next video.